Hey everybody, and welcome to the Outdoor Chat. We come to you every weekday on outdoorchat.us and simulcast over on YouTube. We go over everything to be encountered in the great outdoors, including our outdoor adventures, critters, vehicles, and much, much more. We have hosts. We have Bob, our winter visitor. He's in Canada.
Hey, glad to be on the show. Wish I was down there where it's a little warmer.
Yeah, I bet you do. We have Pete coming in from Tucson.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday.
And me, Jimmy, coming in from Apache Junction or the Phoenix Valley, whatever you want to call it, don't matter. Today is, as Pete just says, Tuesday. We will be going over our adventure, which today will be GPS and geocaching. Let's see here. Then our outdoors will be Arizona Trail. We have our book of the day, our critter of the day, and places to visit. So let's just jump right into it with GPS and geocaching.
Have you guys geocached before?
That's when you leave something like small laying around somewhere outside and you go back and find it later or something, right?
Yeah, I think they started out with like ammo cans and secrets boxes, little metal tins or whatever, metal boxes, Tupperware. And somebody will put maybe like a little spiral notebook, like a little pocket-sized spiral notebook and a pencil in there, and then hide it. Put the GPS coordinates on a website called geocaching.org, which is just a community online for people that think this is a neat hobby. They'll hide it somewhere, maybe under a rock or in like underneath a bridge somehow, or maybe in a tree, like a dead tree or something semi-permanent. And then they'll put a GPS coordinates on it using their GPS, or back in the day, just figuring it out on a map, and then post that with some clues on the website. And then your goal as an orienteer is to orienteer to that coordinates. So, knowing the actual GPS coordinates is one thing, but navigating yourself to there is the fun. So a lot of times we would go out and take the GPS and head out to a new area, maybe somewhere we were going to go hunting or fishing, and look for a couple of geocaches, and that would get you out and around. Typically, people are putting their geocaches in places that have a spectacular view or some interesting scenery. Maybe there's like a lookout over here, and then there's a trail that goes along that's a little more rugged than most people are going to bother with. And there's a geocache out there, and then that's got the deluxe view, or like a 360 view or something. So it's usually there's a reason to go out and find them. Maybe something historic happened there, or maybe a type of flower blooms at a particular type of time of year. We have like migrations, so maybe like butterflies migrate, and maybe those are places to check out some of those seasonal things.
Yeah, that actually sounds really neat. Never got into it though.
I remember reading about it years ago. People used to do this, like before there was GPS. You were saying like they'd do it with maps and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot harder back then, and you'd have to use the clues to like, oh, okay, it's probably that bridge, and then you'd scurry around a bridge, and like a whole scout troop or something would be scurrying around a bridge trying to find, the hidden thing. And then there's a whole part of it of hiding the thing. Some people take like a piece of wood and hollow it out and put a little cavity in there, and then part of it is figuring out that, oh, it's actually this, or maybe it's a hollowed out piece of rock or something. But anyway, so it was always difficult. Nowadays, with the phones, many more people participate, so there's a lot more of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, we used to do stuff like that when we were in Scouts, but it wasn't like GPS or anything like that. It'd be like, draw a crude map or something like that, and you got to pretty much scavenger hunt.
Well, there could be orienteering courses. So what you'd get is kind of like a golf course or something, where you'd get 12 waypoints, and as individuals or in teams, you'd start out in the morning, and it might take you through like a forest preserve or a forest or a park, or even around a town. And using your map and compass, you'd go from point to point, kind of like a scavenger hunt or something. And a lot of times, depending on the type or the complexity of the event, you might pick up a piece of paper or solve some kind of problem, which takes you to the next point. And then again, it kind of compounds on each other. Is that the way to say it? So if you make an error, or some of the courses, if you get to the points they're not marked. So if you make an error, you start making errors add on to themselves. So even if you did the whole course correctly, one error, you end up in the wrong spot at the end. Others, there's like a golf flag, and exactly, once you get in the right area, you just run over to the golf flag. Sometimes there's a question or something, and you go on to the next one. But yeah, those are typically where map encompasses, and like I say, individual or teams. And it was usually done for time, at least the ones I was involved in. And they were more to hone your skills, I thought, as just a map and compass. I don't know, for people who are hunting or cross country skiing or just going out into the wilderness, want to be able to get out.
Yeah, we did it like as a competition type of thing, but yeah, pretty much.
But I think that the geocaching is a development of that, again, using the whole interactivity of the internet, the ability for the audience to be part of the project. So by creating this concept where everybody goes to a website to, I guess, accumulate their finds, what you end up with is a whole dynamic where instead of just being waypoints on an orienteering course, the geocaches themselves, like say the ammo cans or the little tins or the little plastic Tupperware things that are hidden, those can be tracked. So some people find it interesting to just put geocaches out there and then watch the people that come by. So imagine a little kid that's got something going on where, he's sick or something, or she's got some kind of thing where she can't go out and do the normal stuff that a kid might do. They could put out a geocache out in front of their house and then just watch all the people come by and update their portion of the geocache website with where they're from. So in a way, it's kind of like pen pals. You got people from all over the world potentially, for whatever reasons happen to find yours, or they're in the area, or they deliberately find yours for some reason. Then there's the whole element where you're putting a can or a tin or a plastic thing out there, so people will trade or move little trinkets. So some people put like a Matchbox car or maybe a business card type of thing, or a little coin or a plastic gizmo, and they'll have like a tracking number on it. Some people do it on the geocaching site. Some people do it off the site on their own projects, but maybe it's like, this coin was one of 25 for somebody's cancer thing, or this was a scout troop that went to here for our summer trip, and there was, so many coins set out, and somebody will pick those up, and let's say they're on their way to Finland. They'll drop off a coin from Montana in Finland, and then somebody from Mexico picks it up and takes it to Brazil. It's neat sometimes to just watch your tokens fly around the world, move around the world. So there's so many different things. You could be part of it as the people exploring, part of the people who are creating the caches themselves, or part of the people that are just monitoring the whole flow and the adventures that people have.
Yeah, it's very neat. Kind of a cool little hobby, and even something you can just add into what you regularly do. Maybe you're just a regular hiker and you want to do something to kind of change it up a little. So when you're hike, if you find out there's a geocache somewhere close by, you can go and drop by it.
It's one of those things that I wish I would have taken the opportunity to think about it more, because think about all the 18 states I just traveled through. I could have, hit a geocache each state at least, if not each town or something. So I think that's something we'll incorporate into the next this leg of the tour, is to make a point, not so much as for the tour itself, but just to have something to do that's not the typical tourist stuff. So it gets you out walking, checking out a lake or checking out a park,
as well as it kind of commemorates the trip. For
sure, yeah. All right, well, that's pretty neat, and we'll be talking about that for sure. We've got a whole section of the website. Our podcast here is kind of a companion to our website, outdoorchat.us. In our adventure section there, we've got the GPS stuff. So when you're hiking in Arizona, think about bringing a GPS with you. A lot of times your phone can do it, and if not, a GPS is very inexpensive. There's actually some that are dedicated to the geocaching specifically, so they make it even easier. And they have kids versions so that they're a little even easier to deal with, and can be a lot of fun. Go buy a bag of Army Men or inexpensive dozen little Matchbox cars that you'd give away at a birthday party or something at a dollar store, and head off into the desert and mountains and maybe even just around town. I guess we didn't even mention there's a ton of them downtown. A lot of times the ones in town don't have boxes. They're just maybe a piece of tape even, or maybe a little marker or something that indicates you found it. But, you know, because they're in town, they're going to be discovered or thrown away. They're usually more of an indicator type of geocache.
Very, very cool. Very interesting. Let's see here. So moving on, between the first and second segment, we usually take that as a little commercial break time. Today we were going to be talking about the, yeah. Allow us to take a break.
Yeah, we'd like to keep the show going, and one of the ways that you can help with that is to grab some of the products we sell. Our Gear Websites is our store. It's gearwebsites.com. And one of the items we have, which might have some appeal to people in Arizona, is our cow skull patch. This patch is actually designed from a picture we took at the one of the places in Tombstone. So this is a cow skull that was on the side of a building in Tombstone. Took a picture of it, turned it into a vector graphic, and then sent that off to our patch people we've been making patches with. And we have these available now. They're very high quality. These squares on the grid there are about 1 inch. So it's about 3 inches by 3 inches. And they look pretty cool. They look neat on a patch panel if you collect patches. Otherwise, you know, a lot of the clothing you might have will have like a little piece of Velcro for the identifications or whatever. You can put it on that. Sometimes bags or backpacks will have little patches of Velcro as well. But I like to put them on the headliner of my vehicle. So, you know, just on that carpeted headliner next to your review mirrors, or what do you call them, your sun visors, they'll just stick on that. And I keep a collection of patches up there. And this one is on sale for $19.11, and that's shipped anywhere you want. So if you want to send this off to someplace else, these were part of the Old West Guns playing card decks that we did a while back. And we have them, the extras for sale up on the website. So if you'd like to support the show and get something cool in return, head over to gearwebsites.com and consider the cow skull patch.
And they are very cool. They also work really cool on a hat. I have a hat with a Velcro patch on it, and I like to switch up the patches. So I'll go with the cow patch or the cow skull patch, and then I might have an Arizona flag patch on the hat. Just a little something to kind of dress up your head.
Good point. I don't wear hats that much, and I forgot about that. But yeah, having the Velcro panel, and then you got one on the back sometimes too.
Yep. So it does really. You get some kind of funny looks. It's kind of cool, actually. I like it.
Yeah. All right. So that will take us to what is this? Trail Tuesday. Outdoors. So this is the Arizona Trail, or are we talking about Arizona Trails, or is there the Arizona Trail?
There is the Arizona Trail. So there's an Arizona Trail Association, and there's an actual Arizona Trail. So let me grab a map here, and basically the Continental Divide kind of goes through Arizona. So when you look at the country, if you're going to draw a line from Mexico to Canada, then a lot of times they'll just draw it through Arizona, I guess, because of the Continental Divide. And I don't know which one of these pictures is the best. Grab this one, I guess. And this gives you an idea without too much, a little bit of topography without too much distraction with the lines and stuff. Is that coming through okay?
Oh, yeah.
Starts down here at the international border with Mexico near Fort Huachuca, and it comes up sort of just east of Tucson. Basically hits ridge lines and mountains, and it'll go past the Phoenix area, up onto the rim, past Flagstaff, past the Grand Canyon, the east rim there, and then finally up into Utah. I'm assuming it goes up past Utah, and it becomes I don't know what they call the actual, it's called the Arizona Trail in Arizona, but I think it's just called the Continental Divide Trail or something. And it would be like the equivalent of there's the Appalachian Trail that goes up and down the Appalachian Ridge. So this one basically goes up the Continental Divide, even though the Continental Divide's even a little bit east of here, I think, technically. This, nobody wanted to walk through New Mexico, so they put it right through the middle of Arizona. Since I've lived here since the 90s, it has become more and more complete. So I'm pretty sure it's not, you don't just walk the whole entire thing. There's sections of it where there's just the town's in the way, or there's highway or something, so you're kind of just walking down the road. But because of the nature of the terrain down here, most of the hiking is in the mountains down here. I imagine once you get up further north, it's literally just trail probably more. But that's about as much as I know about it. I know there's people that will spend years getting ready and then do it, and I think it takes months. It takes a while to walk the whole thing. And then people do it on horseback. There's that really interesting show that was on a while back. We talked about it on another podcast about the guys that took the wild Mustangs on this trail.
Right. Rode them all the way up into Canada. Yeah, pretty
horrible portion in Arizona, but it's an interesting movie.
Yeah.
All the bad stuff to those horses happens down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Arizona Trail. So I think it's neat because I've walked on a bunch of it. Just in the parts of the Arizona that I fart around in are down here in this section of it, and then coincidentally, the other parts of Arizona I farted around in had parts of it in it. So I've experienced a bit of it, but I don't know. It'd be an interesting adventure, I think, to get yourself ready to do it and then tackle a portion of it, or maybe tackle a portion of it each year, maybe for a while. I haven't really explored the different strategies people use to walk it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting though, because I've seen people do similar things when it comes to like going up superstition and stuff like that. Like, they got to hype themselves up for it, get prepared for it, train for it, So yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, it'd be one of those things that you'd always remember. That's for sure.
All right, so I typed it into the thing. Arizona Trail would take 800 miles from March 17th to April 28th, traveling from the Mexico border near the Coronado National Monument to the Utah border about 40 miles west of Page. Took 33 days of hiking and 10 days of rest to weather the tired legs. So 43 days, 33 of it walking. Crazy. I drove for 43 days last year. I can't imagine walking.
Walking it.
Yeah, that's 800 miles. Wow, that's a lot of walking. I can see you doing that over the course of your life, though. I mean, I think that'd be kind of a neat thing if you move down here, you just like enjoy visiting here. Start out north or south, and the neat thing about doing it in pieces is you can go do desert south stuff for a bit, go do some north stuff for a bit, go do some mountain stuff for a bit, go back to the high plains, go back to the desert.
Yeah, and you can pick the time of year so you can make it the more pleasant,
work it around your work schedule.
Yeah.
So there's the Arizona Trail Association. There's the various people that will upkeep the trail and that will archive and share adventures along the trail. I'm assuming like hunting guides, there's got to be some sort of people that'll facilitate, maybe drive you one way or the other and pick you up or something like that to help make the trail, a walking type of adventure like that possible.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess we should also put out there, if anybody is listening to this and about some stuff that we're missing, I don't know if we explained it enough. We don't post these shows as if we're some sort of authoritarians on the subject matter. We're just very interested, and we're trying to create interactive medium for people to start a conversation. It goes in hand, the podcast goes hands in hand with our website, our website, outdoorchat.us, and you can always email us, but check out the newsletter. And if you know somebody who would be a good guest for the show, please let us know. And if you're somebody that would be interested in sponsoring the show, we don't need a lot of sponsors, but we would like to pay the few bills we do have and just help promote places like restaurants, hunting guides, boat docks, anybody that might be doing something in the outdoors that we could help them get the word out there and get some of their expertise for some of our topic.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's lots of things that I'm sure there's a lot more people know about than or that there's people out there that know a lot more about than we do. And that would be great to have them on, as well as, if you own a business that would maybe benefit from some, online advertising, for sure. We can help each other out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That I would love to learn more. If there's somebody out there that knows more, absolutely bring it. I would love it. So
now,
I guess.
Okay, we're going to talk about backcountry adventures.
Well,
the
yeah, I
book.
was just gonna say that's it's
Yeah.
bringing us into the book of the day here, and it is Backcountry Adventures of Arizona. Now, this is I was just looking at this. This is in 2001, so I'm sure that there's some updated version, but this will be in the description. Navigates 2,671 miles of backcountry trails throughout the state. See ghost towns, old mines, old railroads, and stage lines along the 157 off-road trails. They include GPS coordinates, and all trails are rated for difficulty, mileage, driving time, remoteness, and more. So this definitely sounds like a kind of cool book here. Let's see. Inside.
Now it is available on Amazon, right? And
Yeah.
It looks like $25.
Yeah.
used. So, you know, oh, it's great. It's tips on four-wheel drive vehicles and backcountry driving techniques. So that's handy. I mean, I've owned a four-wheel drive for years and years and years, but I mean, other than driving through snow, really have never used it for what it's made for.
Yeah, and they're explaining why a four-wheel does it better. That's cool.
A little bit different when you're traversing like boulders and just ragged rocks in the road until you get a lot of experience hitting those things and torquing an axle once in a while. Yeah, I mean, it's a little different than just using a 4x4 to get out of mud, and you don't have a lot of big boulders and rocks out of nowhere up there, huh? The glaciers going through.
Yeah, no. Well, we do, but you don't drive there because you can't see them. They're underneath all the grass and shit.
So that's really the main thing. And then, of course, figuring out sometimes just because you can go there doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
That you look back as I'm looking as a kid, I'm like, why did I drive up there? That was pretty dumb, pretty reckless.
Yeah. Yes, and yeah, again, we want to make sure everybody knows we're not experts on any of this, and we're not going to try to tell you any expert stuff. But one thing we can tell you is, be prepared and make sure that you know what you're doing before you get yourself too deep into a trail.
Yeah. Seriously.
That's a good point. Yeah, you can go, way past where your water's able to take you, and might seem like a nice day, and then it gets super cold. Might seem like a nice morning, get super hot. So yeah, be careful. There are some actual issues with people getting in trouble out in the deserts out here.
Yeah, even in a vehicle, because they can break down. Doesn't matter how new or nice it is.
All right, so I guess take us into the critter of the day. Today is bird or reptile or reptile. So we got the elusive, vicious rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Any of you guys got experience with these things? I kind of do. Couple.
I stepped on one once, but that's about the only thing. I was really surprised. I thought they'd kind of be all over the place because I was, like I said, I had so many preconceived ideas about what Arizona was going to be like just from having spent my childhood watching westerns and stuff, and it's not like that. I say the 2 years I was up there, I spent tons of time just wandering around, kind of on the edges of the city, stuff like that, out in the deserty areas. And one time I saw a rattlesnake and almost stepped on it. I saw trails from them, like tracks from them, but only one time did I ever actually see one. And of course, didn't have my camera with me, but yeah, it was interesting. It was a big fella, but luckily it was early morning and he was just kind of sunning himself, so he really just ignored me and the dog. The dog didn't even see him. So, but yeah, it was startling. Like, I mean, I've had pet snakes. I'm not at all scared of snakes, but for some reason, when I saw him and just about stepped on him, boy, that raised the old heart rate a bit.
That'll wake you up, that's for sure.
Well, we got definitely have a good. Arizona's a good environment for snakes and reptiles in general. I think there's 50 different types of snakes in Arizona. I think 13 of them are rattlesnakes. But you don't see them all that often, like Bob's saying. I mean, I don't go hiking every day. I'm no hunting guide or anything, but I've done my share of going out and snooping around in the desert and gone hunting and fishing and, just snooping around, walking the dog, doing geocaching and that. And I mean, I can count on one hand how many times we found snakes. never gone out to look for them, but just stumbling across them, like maybe 4 times probably. And most of the time we do have them on video, because we are not video but cameras, because we just happen to have cameras with us all the time. But yeah, I think it's more of a perception thing from seeing movies. You know, just like cars exploding. How often you really see a car explode? You watch movies, you'd think cars explode all the time, or at least there's a potential for it. You know, it'd be really hard to make a car explode. So the snakes aren't interested in us. They're interested in rats. The only reason they're poisonous is to make it easier to catch the little rats, you know, make it more efficient for them. So, you know, they're not really interested in anything we are. It's more of if you come across them. But I think also there's 13 of them only because, you know, we have different environments, literally different environments in Arizona as you go to these different elevations. So they've just developed into different color patterns and, you know, different species, I guess, of them. But I think they all share in common that they don't want to have anything to do with us. So they're not
Yeah,
out.
for sure. I mean, I've actually seen more rattlesnakes in Canada than I've seen, you know, in Arizona, and you know,
Yeah, like, you know, they're if you got grass,
darkling, you don't even think about rattle.
if they're just in the grass, yeah, I mean, you see them going away, but you don't even see if we're probably walking past rattlesnakes all the time, really, but they don't necessarily rattle. And if they're just super camouflaged in a bunch of rocks and stuff, unless you're really looking for them.
Yeah, well, I've always
Exactly.
been told to stay away from bushes. You know, if there's shrubbery and you're in the desert somewhere, stay away from it because there's more than likely there's a reptile. There's a rattlesnake in there.
Possibly.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, they are going to.
You guys never met Bubba, but my first dog out here was a digger. He was a black lab, and he liked digging out stuff. I found him out in the desert, so for some amount of time, he lived out in the desert digging up, well, rodents or rabbits or whatever, and eating to stay alive. And he never lost that. So just when he was bored and I didn't mind, he would go out and dig. And I guess I never thought about him that much, but you know, because I was a dumb kid, I guess, and you know, I figured he was fairly familiar with the desert. But in all those years of going out, and I had him during all of my prowling around the desert years, and never nothing. Again, I'm pretty sure rattlesnake. They heard me and him coming, had nothing to do with that, and they were out of Dodge. But in fact, he never encountered a rattlesnake. He either maybe he, you know, how black labs are. They're not exactly wolves out there. They're making all kinds of noise and flopping around. He had no interest. He wasn't, you know, he was hunting, but he was digging something out. He wasn't trying to pursue anything. So it's possible he just would scare stuff off like reptiles.
And it may be because a reptile doesn't really run like a rabbit or something that it's not going to scare up a dog's chase. You know,
no,
like,
dogs don't have any interest in chasing the snake. Yeah, they barely. I mean, they might look at something that's moving away, but they don't really. I've never seen dogs pursue snakes. They don't care. They probably know.
Like the only way, I think most of the time a dog gets bit, it gets bitten on its nose because it's sticking its nose under a bush or something, and it startles the snake.
I have opposite experience. My dog, we were out at Four Peaks. I had my dog, you know, letting her run around and stuff like that while we were messing around. And she seen a snake, and it started it was out of her reach, thank God, because I didn't see it, but she just beelined all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, and I looked back, and you know, there's a little thing slithering away. So I don't know. I don't trust my dog around snakes.
They wanted to go get it. Have you seen the snake training that they'll do, the conditioning?
No.
So you think they just take like a rubber snake, and I don't know, I think it probably looks like a rattle. And then they take the rattle noise, and they'll take a dog, like a bunch of dogs, usually like the places that I've seen do it, will take, you know, like a Saturday, they'll have a clinic or whatever.
Right.
And bring your dog up, they'll let the dog see the snake, and they'll make the noise as the dog's rattling. And some of them will put like a shock collar. Some of them will, you know, just make like a noise or something, whatever your dog's going to respond to, I guess. And, or that person has experience at working. Maybe they spray stuff at them, like, you know, to bother the dog. But basically it's just that the concept of you make the dog uninterested in the rattles.
Yeah. It's an aversion. Yeah. And that's
I've
a good idea.
never done one. I've seen them. I haven't done one.
I've often thought that's a good idea, and it may be something I look at when I'm going out this year. Is I put a shock collar on my dog, and then if he's off leash and he looks like he's heading for somewhere or heading for a snake or something, I can zap him, and that should back him off. But yeah, I'm concerned about that. My dog tends to stick his nose in holes in the ground and dig and stuff. So, and he's not real bright. So, well, you've met Charlie.
All right, so I guess that will move us into what do we got here.
We should mention that everything we do is in a companion to our website, outdoorchat.us. So if you do want to check out more stuff about the critters, the wildlife in Arizona, we have 2 sections over there. We have in the outdoor section, we have a section for the wildlife areas, the parts of the state that are operated by the Game and Fish. Either pretty much the National Game and Fish, some wildlife refuges. But then we also have a wildlife section of the website, and we have it divided up by birds and fish and reptiles and insects, and then the pets like horses and dogs and cats and stuff. So if you're interested in getting more information, we've got some of our experiences and some of our adventures over the years with wildlife and our pets, and then also links to resources. So as a companion to this podcast, check out the website. And if you're interested in keeping up with what we're doing, join up our newsletter and listen to the show.
Yeah, for sure. So what are we at now? We're looking at
this will take us to places to visit, and today, Tuesday, so we were talking about outdoor store. This is Blue Planet Outdoors in, wait for it, Chandler, Arizona. And they pretty much have a bunch of camping gear, like, little fold-out tables, fold-out chairs, tents, let's see here, backpacks, other types of gear, pretty much a bunch of Yeti stuff. So yeah, a bunch of pretty much camp gear, it seems like, among other things. I would say camp gear and etc.
Now, is that a rental or just for sale?
Let me see here. Both?
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I like the ideas of places that will rent stuff, so that if you are, maybe you've flown into the city or something and you want to get out, maybe hike some trails, that you can just rent your gear for the day. Because trying to fly and carry a bunch of backpacking gear and stuff like that is just ridiculous. So yeah, I think it's an excellent little place.
I think there's something to that too, because sometimes the difference between really nice gear and junk is extreme, right? Sometimes really nice stuff is nice, and it could cost a lot of money to outfit a whole gear trip, or outfit yourself with really good gear for just a trip. So if you can spend a bit of cash, have a really nice experience, because that's what you're going for, is the experience, right? And then, like you said, not have to deal with the travel, and then reselling it, or having to, if you're not planning on doing that kind of stuff a lot, not having it around, have to store it and all that. I could see some advantage to that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So they are in Chandler, Arizona, and they, what is this here? BluePlanetOutdoors.com. So there you go. There's our place to visit for today. And that will boogie on us right over to nothing. That brings me to the tip of the day. So the healthy tip of the day: prevent low blood sugar as it stresses you out. Eat regular and small healthy meals, and keep fruit and veggies handy. Herbal teas will also soothe your frazzled nerves. So there you go. There's the healthy tip.
Like apples when I'm going out hiking or whatever. And oranges, I guess, are pretty good too.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah.
Waste, really, throw away the apple core. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a neat idea, because your packaging is actually biodegradable.
And they're rugged, like a banana. It's a waste of time. Grapes, come on, but apple, orange, easy.
Yeah,
Ready to go.
And lots of liquid in them, so that's a good thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I guess we're pretty much at the half hour, so let's wrap it up with our factoid of the day. Arizona fact of the day. There we go. Colossal Cave is one of the biggest dry caverns in the world, with stalactites. Well, I'm sure everybody knows what I mean. Stalactites.
Stalactites.
Stalactites. Oh, gosh. I really got to learn to speak English.
Stalactites have to hold tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites might reach the ceiling. So stalagmites are what pile up on the floor. Stalactites come from the ceiling like icicles.
All right. Well, that's a good way to remember it. I might even remember that for a few minutes. With names like Bonecrusher and Fang. So that sounds pretty interesting, actually. I'm not sure I'm a real cave person.
It's not too bad. It's pretty easy to walk into, and it's neat. Back in the day, like bad guys would use it as a holdout, and Indians used it, and it's kind of neat. Cool.
So that's something to think about. You know, it's amazing. It was one of the biggest dry caverns in the world. So that's a little something from the facts of Arizona. So on that note, I want to thank everybody for listening and watching to us. Oh. Watching us and listening to us. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you all tomorrow.